I don't take no L's. That's why I think that's why people hate me, because I'm so arrogant and but it's just me being like, yo, this is the truth. This is the facts. People hate the facts.
Why are you causing all these problems for yourself, sir?
I don't cause no problem, man. You know what I'm saying? I address them. That's me.
On August 17th, everything in New York flipped upside down when Ariella, known by many as the beautiful woman standing beside 6ix9ine, was shot and killed in cold blood. Now, brand new footage of 6ix9ine locked up behind bars has leaked out. The timing is so wild that people are convinced her death and his arrest are tied together in a way that ain't no coincidence. The street's been whispering non-stop, asking one question louder than anything else. Did 6ix9ine have his own girl taken out? The evidence and timing got people looking sideways because this whole situation is feeling way too calculated. 6 days after Ariella's body was discovered full of bullets, 6ix9ine himself ended up getting arrested on August 23, 2025 for violating his supervised release. That timing alone got people shaking their heads like this ain't normal. And just when folks thought the story couldn't get any crazier, that new footage of him behind bars drops out of nowhere, turning everything even messier. But before diving into what's on that footage, we gotta rewind. On August 17, 2025, New York lost a woman who meant something to everybody who knew her. Ariella Langosta Mejia Polanco was found slumped inside her car on the Cross County Parkway in Mount Vernon, sitting behind the wheel of her black Mercedes-Benz G-Class. When someone pulled up and pumped her entire ride full of bullets, it was around 8 in the morning, and the medical examiner confirmed the worst multiple gunshot wounds ended her life. Police didn't sugarcoat anything. They came out immediately and said this wasn't random, calling it a planned attack carried out by people who wanted her gone.
Let me ask you, what's the definition of a snitch?
In this case, the definition, who rats out people that they were tight with, rats them out to law enforcement.
What's loyalty to you, Charles?
Loyalty would be that you don't snitch on the people closest on your friends.
If another TMZ staff member kidnaps you, is that loyal to you? You're working right now. If Harvey's stealing all of the money that you're making right now and gives you crumbs of it, but is taking majority of the money, is that loyal to you? These are my people. Like, how many people I beefed with in 2018? I beefed with the whole West Coast. I beefed with the Houston. I beefed with Chicago.
Ariella had just finished her shift at Icon New York Lounge where she bartended, working hard to support her 2 daughters and keep her life moving forward. She had over 506,600 followers on Instagram, and everyone around her described her as somebody who could brighten any room without even trying. Here's where things turn explosive. Ariella wasn't just some random influencer floating around the city. She was locked into 6ix9ine's world heavy. She popped up in his 2023 WAPA music video, and she was performing with him on stages like Tobo Room in New York. The internet been debating nonstop. Some called her his girlfriend, so others claim she was just someone close to him. But no matter how you slice it, when someone that connected to you gets taken out like that, it raises major questions. And those questions been getting louder every hour. When a person like 6ix9ine, someone who testified against the 9 Trey gangster bloods, and admitted publicly he was widely hated, surrounds themselves with people they care about, those people automatically become targets. He once admitted straight up that he knew he was hated. Social media went into overdrive after the news of Ariella's death, with theories flying everywhere about her murder being retaliation for 6ix9ine's past testimony. One user even dropped a line that went viral when they posted, "That's why you don't date walking targets." That comment alone had the whole internet arguing and replaying every move that happened before she was killed. And another person kept it all the way real with a comment saying to be in close proximity to him is crazy.
That's how they supposed to treat each other. Oh, Mickey Mouse clown.
Go ahead.
Take a picture.
Go ahead.
Take a picture. I want to be famous now. I want to be famous. Fuck.
Yo, they just jumped 6ix9ine, bro. Yo, homie, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm a fan, bro. No, I'm a fan. I'm just saying, bro. I'm a fan, bro. I know, I ain't jumpy, bro.
And the internet didn't waste a second piling on with more takes about how dangerous that circle has always been. But this situation goes even deeper than folks on social media arguing, because word started spreading that Ella was also connected to a dude named Nada Cartier, described by many as a suspected gang leader who was questioned right after her death. That detail alone had people screaming conspiracy from every angle. Now you got 2 theories crashing into each other like a car wreck. Was she hunted down because of 6ix9ine's past cooperation? Or did her connection to her own man-s street world put her straight into the crosshairs? Either way, this woman got pulled into the type of deadly politics that chew people up without warning. And the streets could feel the tension all around her case. The crime scene painted a picture so violent, it made investigators stop in their tracks. Her truck had shattered windows, bullet holes punched through the metal, and the whole scene looked like someone wanted to send a message loud and clear. This wasn't no sloppy hit. This was methodical, aggressive, and personal, and everybody saw that the second the photos hit the news. The Westchester County Police Department didn't play around either. They brought in local, state, and federal investigators to look into the murder, showing they understood the seriousness of the situation from day one. But with no suspects named and no arrests made, the streets did what they always do. They created their own theories about who wanted her gone and why. And because she carried that Queen of New York energy, those theories got louder by the hour. What made the situation even more heartbreaking was that her final mater Instagram post from June 7, 2025, showed her smiling and living life, rocking a cowboy hat with the caption, "Happy and blessed." Just 2 months later, that same woman was found shot up on a highway in the early morning. The contrast hit people hard, because her energy online showed nothing but joy. And the way she passed away left the entire community wondering what kind of person could do that to someone so full of life.
Tekashi 6ix9ine, his last day on the stand was last week, Friday. And he, of course, as you guys know, is testifying about the accused 9 Trey Gangsta Blood members, Anthony Harv Ellison and Aljamiah Nuke Mack. Now, he's talking about a lot of different things. And one thing that was part of his testimony was recordings of phone calls and conversations. One call was between Tekashi's former co-defendant, Jamel Mel Murder Jones, and Jim Jones.
When news broke that Ariella had been killed, 6ix9ine hopped onto Instagram with tributes that shocked everybody because he rarely shows emotion like that. He posted photos and videos of them together, calling her a tremendous woman and the Queen of New York. The moment that made everyone pause was when he wrote, "You supported me in everything. My sister and why won't ever be the same. I loved you." You could tell those words came from real pain. He even shared a message in Spanish saying, "Yo aim en migra," reminding everyone that this wasn't just some public friendship. This was someone he considered family. The tributes kept rolling out too, set to Aventura's Obsession, which he said was their favorite song, and the emotion in those posts hit different, because the man usually known for trolling was suddenly showing real vulnerability. He called her "There Was No Heart, It's More Beautiful," and that line alone had the internet stopping and rereading because it showed just how heavy this loss was for him. Meanwhile, the people who worked with Ariella showed massive love too. Cardi B posted "Rip Dominican Pretty" on her Instagram stories, keeping it short but giving respect to another Dominican woman who made her mark. The clubs where she worked went all out honoring her memory. Icon New York posted a heartbreaking message saying, "Today we lost our shining star, Dari." And they talked about how her joy, humility, and the way she treated people made her stand out every single day. They added, "We still can't believe it. You were our smile, our happiness, and the emotion in that tribute had everybody tearing up." Opus Lounge spoke on her with the same love, writing about how they said goodbye to a great friend and someone who had been with them for years.
Now, you did an interview with the Daily Beast, and you talked about that throughout your relationship, there was a lot of domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Like, at what point in the relationship did the abuse first start?
It happened very early on in our relationship, like maybe a month after I moved in with him. That was the first time he put his hands on me. And I didn't know how to take that. Like, I've never had a guy put their hands on me. This is my first boyfriend. You know, I didn't know how to handle that situation.
They described her light, her joy, and how she made every moment brighter. Even starlets of New York stepped forward, calling her a one-of-a-kind soul, a beautiful friend, loving mother, and daughter whose smile and energy lit up every room she was in. Every room she stepped into lit up, but while the tributes kept pouring in like a flood, the streets kept whispering about the real reason Ariella ended up catching those bullets. And the loudest theory spinning out there right now is that her murder was straight-up retaliation for 6ix9ine. cooperation with the feds.
One incident was me and him was arguing. We was walking towards Marcy and by the factories. He wanted me to take pictures of him. Yeah, he punched me in my eye. Like, he punched me in my face. And it was like, I think I was trying to scuffle with him, but he punched me repeatedly and I had like 2 black eyes, and he left as soon as he did it. So I half fell asleep, and when he came back home, I guess I was sleeping, he saw my face and saw that I had like 2 black eyes. And I guess he woke me up and was like, I'm sorry, you know. He started crying.
When you testify against the 9 Trey gangster bloods the way he did, you don't just put yourself in danger. Anybody close to you becomes a target instantly. People who understand the street world already know this ISNT new information. It's harsh reality. And yet somehow, 6ix9ine stayed moving like this. Life didn't come with serious consequences. But the streets never forget, and the people tied to him always end up carrying the fallout whether they asked for it or not. While some folks online pointed fingers at 6ix9ine, a lot of fans been keeping things honest in the comments under Ariella. Instagram posts, you see hearts, prayers, beautiful messages, but mixed right in there you see questions nobody else wants to ask out loud. Messages like rest in peace, beautiful soul, sitting right beside people saying, he's in jail now. Wonder if it's connected. That blend of grief and suspicion shows how people are mourning while also trying to piece together the truth. The memorial in Washington Heights outside Opus Lounge showed just how loved this woman truly was. Cecilia Rodriguez pulled up with flowers and shared, I'm very heartbroken. She's coming now, knowing she had her 2 daughters. Very sad, and you could feel the pain in her voice. Then another fan, Ellie Hernandez, opened up saying, it really hurts. You know, Dominican, you know, very beautiful. Such a thing like this. Very, very sad. The community felt that loss in a deep way. But what keeps shaking people is how Ariella's murder fits perfectly into a disturbing pattern of violence surrounding 6ix9ine from that brutal 2023 gym. Beating in LA to the non-stop threats he's faced, and now someone close to him getting shot up in her car.
But you actually didn't leave.
Yeah.
But why is that?
I don't know. In a way, I felt stuck. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt numb to the situation. Because he was already doing it. And the extent of how he beat me in front of my daughter, it would have...
It's like danger be sticking to this man like a shadow everywhere he moves. And now here's where the story hits a whole new level of chaos. 6ix9ine got locked up just days after Ariella's death, turning this entire situation from tragic to suspicious in a heartbeat. One minute he's posting emotional tributes to his sister, and the next minute he's back in federal custody sitting behind cold walls at the same facility where they're holding big names like Diddy and Sam Bankman-Fried. That switch-up had the streets buzzing non-stop. The feds didn't slide in quietly either. They grabbed him right at the Thurgood Marshall United States Courthouse in Manhattan, and you could tell they meant business. Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer, the same judge who handled his 2019 sentencing, issued a warrant and made sure 6ix9ine stayed locked up until November 12, 2025 for his next hearing. That detail alone made people feel like something bigger is cooking behind the scenes. But hold up, because here's the part that got everybody connecting dots like detectives. Let me break down why this rainbow-haired rapper ended up behind bars again, and why the streets swear it ties directly back to Ariella's murder. For real, 6ix9ine been treating his supervised release like optional rules instead of legal requirements, and the government finally had enough. His probation officer listed 3 major violations, and all of them made things worse. First, he flew out to Las Vegas and performed at the T-Mobile Arena without even asking for permission, which is already wild when you unsupervised release. And when the officers confronted him about it, he lied straight to them and denied he even went. That was violation number 1, and lying to federal agents is never a smart move, especially for someone already known for cooperating with the law. Homeboy had been failing drug tests like it was a routine, not a violation, and the paperwork exposed everything. They caught him with methamphetamine in his system twice. Even though he tried to slide out of it by saying it came from his prescribed Adderall, the feds weren't buying that weak explanation for a second. That excuse hit the floor harder than his reputation, and everyone knew it. Then came the third strike. He didn't even bother showing up to a mandatory drug test. In federal court, 3 strikes don't mean warning. It means sit down, especially when you've already been skating on thin ice. That is when people realize something bigger was happening because the feds don't move this hard unless they see a deeper pattern forming. Back in March 2025, the feds raided 6ix9ine's Miami mansion and found 3 MDMA pills and cocaine residue in his bedroom. They even found extra items in the pool house, but prosecutors had to drop the gun and fentanyl charges because the DNA didn't T-link back to him directly. Still, he pled guilty to 2 counts of drug possession on July 23, 2025, and everyone watching could tell this man's freedom was hanging on by a thread. When 6ix9ine walked into court on August 23rd, he tried to defend himself, but his excuses had less strength than his old alliances. He told the judge, "I flew up from Florida and woke up late trying to explain why he was tardy, and about Vegas," he said. "I went to Las Vegas to perform at the T-Mobile Arena to make a living and thought I had permission to do so." The courtroom energy felt like nobody believed him. For the dirty drug tests, he kept leaning on that line, "I tested positive for methamphetamines because I was on Adderall, but it didn't T-land." And then he broke his tough guy image for a split second and said, "I'm human, bro. I've been jumped for cooperating with the federal government." That moment showed exactly how the pressure from snitching been haunting him non-stop since 2019. The timing of this arrest got conspiracy theories exploding everywhere. Social media been flooded with people connecting dots, saying this arrest wasn't random at all. Some believe the feds locked him up to protect him after Ariella was killed, while others think they're checking whether his violations might be tied to that shooting. The fact that they placed him at Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, the same spot where people like Sean Diddy Combs and Sam Bankman-Fried sit, shows they treating his situation like high risk. Now let me take you back to where this whole storm really started, because that's the root behind everything. The danger, the threats, and possibly why Ariella ended up in the middle of something deadly. Back in November 2018, federal agents grabbed Daniel Hernandez as part of a massive operation targeting the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods, one of the most violent crews tied to the United Blood Nation. These weren't petty crimes. This was real, organized danger tearing through Manhattan and Brooklyn. The indictment wasn't light either. It was stacked with racketeering, conspiracy, firearm offenses, conspiracy to commit murder, and other violent crimes. If he got convicted on everything, he was looking at a minimum of 32 years and maximum life. That's when he made the choice that changed everything and flipped his entire world upside down instead of fighting the case. 6ix9ine took the cooperation route. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey S. Berman didn't sugarcoat anything when announcing the charges, saying as alleged in the indictment, this gang, which included platinum-selling rap artists Tekashi 6ix9ine, wreaked havoc on New York City, engaging in brazen acts of violence. That statement had the whole city buzzing. And the specific crimes tied to 6ix9ine looked like a script ripped straight from a gritty street movie. Paying $20,000 to have Chief Keef shot at, taking part in armed robberies in Times Square, plotting to eliminate rivals. It was all there in black and white. And once he flipped, everybody around him got marked with danger whether they deserved it or not. On January 23, 2019, this rainbow-haired dude walked into court and pleaded guilty to all 9 counts, choosing the snitch path without hesitation. He agreed to cooperate with prosecutors, admitted, "I joined the 9 Trey Bloods in the fall of 2017, and even confessed he paid $20,000 for somebody to shoot at Chief Keef outside the W Hotel just to shake him up. That moment alone cemented his reputation in ways he could never escape." But the real avalanche of information came during the September 2019 trial, when 6ix9ine spent 3 straight days testifying against 9 Trey members, Anthony Harvellison and Elia Nuke Mack. He didn't hold nothing back. He dropped names, positions, crimes, and painted a whole blueprint of the gang's structure in a way prosecutors dream about. The courtroom was hanging on every word because he was laying out the inner workings like a narrator in a crime documentary. He called Jamel Mel Murda Jones the Godfather and labeled Kafano Shadi Jordan a high-ranking member, spilling details that left the entire street world buzzing. Prosecutors described his cooperation as extraordinary and game-changing, which in street talk means he didn't just talk, he unloaded everything he ever knew. His testimony helped secure heavy convictions for Ellison and Mack, both now facing life sentences. Judge Paul Engelmeyer even stood on it, telling him, "Your cooperation was impressive. It was game-changing, was complete, and it was brave, but then reminded him he was also a central figure in a vicious and brutal gang. When sentencing came, the judge gave him 2 years with 13 months credit. And he got out early in April 2020 because of COVID concerns. But freedom didn't mean safety. His cooperation came with a price tag that never stopped collecting. And now it looks like Ariella might via paid the highest price just for being close to him. Even before his arrest in 2018, federal wiretaps caught 9 Trey members talking about plans to super violate him after he fired his management and dissed them on air. That threat was so real, the feds arrested him earlier than expected just to keep him alive. Prosecutors warned at the time, there is no question that the defendant's life will never be the same. Because of his cooperation, he and his family will have to take extra safety precautions, and they weren't lying. Since then, he's been jumped, threatened, stalked, and now people close to him are catching bullets, proving that danger hasn't left his orbit for a single day. What makes everything even more suspicious is how 6ix9ine been moving since Ariella's death. The same man who normally lives online went silent for days after posting those emotional tributes. Then out of nowhere, boom, he's arrested. That silence had everybody watching closely, wondering what went down behind the scenes. Some people believe the feds were already watching him extra tight after Ariella got killed, waiting for any slip-up to pull him in for questioning. Others think the violations were just the excuse that they wanted him off the streets before he became the next target. And honestly, both theories got people talking because none of this feels random. The street's been connecting these dots since day one, and somebody with 6ix9ine's snitching history has people around him getting taken out. Folks don't call that coincidence. They call that a pattern. His August 23rd arrest, just 6 days after Ariella was murdered, got everybody wondering if the feds know something we don't about what happened on that highway. Maybe they locked him up for protection, or maybe they're digging deeper to see if his violations somehow tie into that killing. And all those social media posts calling him a walking target suddenly hit way harder now. But the part that's truly chilling is how the violence, drama, and chaos keep wrapping around this man everywhere he goes. He goes from baby mama beatings to revenge-style scandals. And once you look at 6ix9ine's history with women, the picture gets even darker than people ever expected. This side of him been hiding in plain sight for years, and the moment you start connecting the dots, a whole different pattern shows up loud and clear. Before this whole situation wraps up, we gotta talk about 6ix9ine's track record with women. Because this behavior didn't start yesterday, it's been following him for over a decade, while most folks been focused on his snitching, gang beefs, and wild internet moments. His history with the women in his life tells a different story, one that exposes a dangerous side of who he really is. Let's start with Sarah Molina, the mother of his daughter Saray, who dealt with 6ix9ine's violence for 7 straight years from 2011 to 2018. 7 years of chaos, fear, and pain. In her 2019 interview with the Daily Beast, Sarah laid out details that would shake anybody who heard them. She said this man beat her for 2 hours straight in Dubai back in October 2018, leaving her with 2 black eyes and bruises everywhere. She described moments that sounded like a nightmare you can't wake up from, including him choking her and forcing intimacy on her while she cried. That testimony alone showed just how dangerous life around him truly was. Sarah didn't sugarcoat nothing. In another interview with Daily Motion, she said he suddenly became stronger, more ferocious, more determined, not just to hurt, but to injure, and that he used a pillow to keep her screams down so neighbors wouldn't hear. Every detail she shared painted a picture of someone who used fear like a weapon. And this, auntie, just her word, 6ix9ine admitted to domestic violence from 2011 to November 2018 in his federal cooperation agreement. Judge Engelmeyer even confirmed in court that Hernandez admits domestic violence from 2011 to November 2018. That's straight from the legal record, not gossip. The details Sarah revealed about that Dubai incident sound like something out of a horror story. She said 6ix9ine accused her of being with his manager. Cafano Shotty Jordan then snapped and started to punch me again. He started beating me for 2 hours straight. She said he had the craziest look in his eyes and she feared for her life every second. After choking her and saying, "I just have to make an example, can't have you out there making me look stupid," he forced himself on her while she cried. That goes beyond violence. That is cruelty at its worst. But she didn't leave. And that's because she was trapped in a cycle that many victims understand. fear, control, and emotional pressure. And sadly, things got even worse. In 2020 interviews, 6ix9ine bragged about being a sadat and admitted to being with more than 70 women during his relationship with Sarah, leading to multiple pregnancies and STDs. Imagine dealing with a partner who hurting you physically, cheating nonstop, and bringing back health risks to you and your family. That's not chaos, that's destruction. Sarah stayed quiet for years, trying to protect her dignity and avoid public shame. But when she finally spoke, the details showed how deep the damage went. And sadly, she wasn't the only woman caught up in his world. Then came Rachel Jade Watley, who started dating 6ix9ine in 2018, right before he got locked up for that racketeering case. And just like Sarah, Rachel's story brings another wave of drama that exposes even more about who 6ix9ine really is. This relationship with Jade was toxic from the moment it started, with her tattooing 69 on her chest. And knee like she needed permanent proof of loyalty to a man who thrives off chaos. That alone showed the level of control and obsession that surrounded this dude, but it only got uglier from there. In August 2022, things flipped when Jade got arrested for battery after punching 6ix9ine and snatching his chain at Kiki on the River nightclub in Miami. The whole thing was caught on police surveillance, and she walked away with a court order forcing her to stay 500 feet away from him. But here's the wild twist. 6ix9ine told TMZ, "My relationship with Jade is fine," and refused to press charges, even letting her and her kids stay at his Florida home while he moved into a hotel. That tells you just how messy and dysfunctional these relationships been from the jump. When someone feels comfortable enough to attack their partner in public, it shows the tension and chaos boiling under the surface. Then came the most explosive situation, his relationship with Dominican artist Yelin Lamazrao, known as Yin. They dated from 2022 to 2024, and this was full-blown disaster from start to finish. Both of them caught charges, both ended up in court, and the drama crossed borders like an international scandal. In December 2023, Yin was arrested after a domestic dispute at his home, with video appearing to show her hitting him. But TMZ reported she lashed out only after 6ix9ine effectively imprisoned her at his home by taking her passport and money. That alone had people calling it psychological warfare. The Dominican Republic situation took everything to the next level. In January 2024, he was arrested in Santo Domingo after Yin's mother accused him of assaulting both her and Yin. Her mother even went on the radio saying he attacked them after she tried to stop him from hurting her daughter. But when court came around, Yin testified that Tekashi never assaulted her, showing just how deep toxic loyalty and manipulation can run. People in situations like this end up protecting the person hurting them, and the cycle becomes impossible to break. But the truth came out in September 2024 when Yin filed a federal lawsuit that pulled the curtain back on their entire relationship. The lawsuit accused him of physical, emotional, and financial abuse, saying he tried to dominate her, isolate her from her family, and drain her of hundreds of thousands of dollars. The court documents were chilling. They read like a real-life horror script. Yin claimed he punched her at her daughter's baptism. Imagine the kind of person who would hit a woman inside a church during a sacred ceremony. She said he threatened to throw her off a balcony and told her she caused his violence, which is textbook manipulation used by controlling partners. She also alleged he drugged her, forced her into unnecessary cosmetic surgeries to change how she looked, and even posted revenge content of her online after their breakup in August 2024. She's now seeking $1 million in damages. 6ix9ine tried to defend himself by saying all that jewelry is mine, that car she's riding in. I bought the penthouse she got in the Dominican Republic. I took care of her family daughter, but throwing money around to excuse bad behavior is the oldest move in the abuser handbook. Anyone watching this play out could see exactly what type of power games were happening. Financial control is one of the oldest tricks used by abusive partners. And 6ix9ine's response basically confirmed everything Yelin said about him using money as a leash to keep her locked into his world. When someone starts weaponizing their bank account against the person they claim to care about, that's a dangerous level of control that goes way past normal relationship problems. The revenge-type allegations make everything even darker, because they show 6ix9ine's willingness to use intimate content like ammunition whenever a woman steps out of line with him. Posting private images without consent is illegal in most states, and it shows a level of spite that lives far beyond simple breakup drama. That kind of action exposes a man who doesn't just argue, he attacks with whatever tools he can find. What really messes with people is how 6ix9ine's behavior with women mirrors the same pattern he showed with the streets. He betrays the people who trust him, whether it's gang members who brought him into their circle, or women who let him into their hearts and beds. That cycle of turning against the closest people in his life speaks louder than any apology he ever tried to make. This man got a long history of hurting the ones who stood beside him, and the fact that he admitted to 7 years of domestic violence in federal court but still kept repeating the same patterns shows he didn't learn a single lesson from all the chaos he caused. When someone keeps doing the same harm after confessing it, you're re-looking at a deeper issue than anger. You're re-looking at someone who refuses to change. And once you lay everything out, 7 years of Sarah Molina suffering, the explosive mess with Jade, the international drama with Yellen, the federal admission of domestic violence, it paints a clear picture of a man who he respect women and got serious control issues that follow him everywhere he goes. When somebody with that history gets close to women, trouble tends to show up fast. And while there ain't no direct evidence linking 6ix9ine to Ariella's murder, yet his track record of putting women in dangerous situations through his lifestyle. His enemies and his violence got the streets asking whether her death came from his gang ties or something much more personal. Either way, people feel like being close to him puts a target on your back. One thing is certain, being around 6ix9ine been hazardous to women's well-being for over a decade, and the streets been warning people about this man's character long before all this recent drama. But folks stayed distracted by the music, the memes, the trolling, and the circus he brought everywhere he went. Now, with Ella gone, 6ix9ine locked up again, and a whole timeline of damaged women behind him, the truth is hitting a lot harder. Maybe now people finally seeing what his actions been screaming this whole time, this ain't just about snitching or gang life. This is about a man who burns everything he touches, and the women beside him pay the highest price every single time. If you enjoyed watching this video and wouldn't mind more of such content, make sure to click on the card showing on the screen.